We learn from various experts in different areas of their calling or vocation, as we call it in Rotary. And so we are privileged also even today to have a very great speaker. She's been with us here before. So welcome, and all the questions can always be put in the chat. We use the same link every Monday, and we also have a WhatsApp group, of course. We'll tell you more about that. So at this moment in time, I want to invite Dr. Lucita, the poet, to recite for us, do our icebreaker as usual for today, and then we move into the session. Thanks.
Good morning. Today being Monday 47 of 2026, actually next week on Monday is in February. It will not be January anymore. So you are on the right track, but slightly ahead. Today I want to do something on the people you meet. We realize that we meet diverse people in our journey. It's like a bus journey. The others that are going to come in, others are going to drop off, others are going to stick with you. I want to delve into it immediately. The people you meet, the kind you meet will make your day so bright, with helping hands and hearts that are so light. They will lift you up with pure delight and guide your steps through the darkest of the night. The people that you meet, the polite ones. The polite you meet will speak softly and neatly with words of respect so calm and sweet. They make each moment feel so complete and turn harsh days to the gentle of the treat. The people you meet, the lovely ones. The lovely ones will bring joy that is so fresh and new, with shining smiles and skies that were so blue. They will sprinkle hope in all that they do, and they leave behind a kind of view. The people that you meet, the rude ones. The rude ones will come with a heavy sound, with sharpest of words that are going to cut and are going to wound. They shake your peace and they turn it around, yet they teach you strength that can't be drowned. The people you meet, the gentle ones. The gentle ones' souls move like a sweet breeze. They'll calm your heart and bring you to ease. They'll heal your heart with quiet pleas and set your spirits free with peace. The people you meet, the honest ones. The honest ones will tell you what it is as it is, so true, not dressed in lies or shaded hue. They'll guide you to the mind and make it clearer in a view and help you know what is right and what is wrong. The people you meet. The funny ones. The funny ones will make you smile. They'll turn your tears into a smile. They lighten your heavy trial and make your life feel worth for a while. The people you meet. The proud ones. The proud ones walk with head held high. They rarely stop to wonder why. They might look down as you pass by. They steal their dreams, their hemmed eye at the sky. They think they own the world. The people you meet. The humble ones. The humble ones, they don't boast, they don't shout, they carry the peace and calm, they lift you up without a doubt and show you what love is all about. The people you meet. And finally, the wise ones. The wise ones speak with thoughtful grace. They read your heart. They know your pace. They help you find your rightful place and leave you strong enough to face the world. The people you meet, appreciate each one of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's fantastic. The people you meet, yeah. I personally know the power of a network. Maybe just one connection, maybe just one more person, and everything you've been looking for, uh, you get it. Thank you. That's very beautiful. That's a very beautiful poem. Good to see you, Carol. You look like it's daylight, and you are pampered with all the hot or warm things. I thought it should be better now, but seems like it's cold. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Let's go to the introduction of the speaker of the day. By the way, just to say that this session was to be moderated by Antonia, but she's having some problem with her laptop. And our friend Noel has traveled for a funeral in the village. So I have here Odhiambulale and I believe Dr. Melvin. So, Mercy, introduce the guest.
Good morning, Power Monday. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, very well.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks for the privilege of introducing the speaker of the day. The speaker of the day is a powerhouse. She's none other than FCS Happi Kilongosi. Happi Kilongosi is an astute professional in diverse fields of law, governance, and estate planning with over 25 years progressive experience. She has served in various leadership capacities as a chairman of the RCPSB and Superfund Circle, as well as a board member of KCA University. She also served as a member of the ICS Governance Task Force and has co-authored the training manual for governance ethics and risk course. For government ethics and risk course, the 360 degrees board evaluation manual, succession plan and management, and other governance standard and guidelines for the governance profession. Happi has held various leadership positions and is currently the manager of CPF Mwamba Trust Fund, an entity under the CPF group. Happi is passionate about estate planning and has cut a niche for herself in that space with experience spanning over 11 years. Wow. This journey has led her to become a financial coach to advise and guide clients to build wealth for sustainable planning of their estates for posterity. Financial coaching is one of her passions, and she has had opportunities to work with individuals, including the high net worth, to plan the financial journeys as well as corporates, church groups, and investment structure group. Happi is a seasoned governance professional and has consulted widely in that space with organizations both in the private and public sector. Families are the smallest unit of an organization, and she's passionate about empowering families to establish governance structures as the basic level of financial sustainability. As a trainer, Happi has facilitated, among others, training on developing financial discipline, estate planning, governance, board induction, welfare management, and pre-retirement planning. I told you we have a powerhouse today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, join hands with me as we welcome FCS Happi Kilongosi to have a word with us. Thank you. Karibu sana Happi.
Asante sana. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Good to see you.
Good morning,
Happy.
everyone.
Seems like you're really happy.
Yes, happiness is a choice. So, Paul, confirm you can see my screen?
Yeah, it's loading up. At least on my side. Yes, there it is.
Okay. So good morning and good to have this conversation with the team today. So we are looking at estate planning, something that is really critical for each and every one of us. So starting with, it's not moving. I don't know. I seem to have a lag on my end. Oh, is it moving? Oh God.
Not really. Not really.
I don't know. I seem to have a lag.
Mm.
Okay, so estate planning, what it entails is it's a bouquet of things. It's about wills, the power of attorney, the enduring guardian, and here I'd like to mention that a guardian is very different from a next of kin. Sometimes it is embodied in one person, but it does not, the roles are different. So for a guardian, you need to have minors that you are appointing someone to take charge of minors. For a next of kin is that person who is going to be paid your benefits when you pass on. Advanced healthcare directive is where you choose to, where you have the courage now to actually um, give instructions that you do not, for the things to be not to be done for you, especially at the point that you are technically dead, but you're just being held by machines. So the medical professionals will actually unplug without asking the consent from your loved ones, because at that point, no one no one will say that it's okay, we have accepted that you can pull off the plug. So this is the courage that you save your people from having to make that decision when you are healthy. Business succession is for those people who are entrepreneurs and you have businesses, and your vision is that you need your business to live beyond you. Then you actually must start that business with a good governance structure such that in the event you're not there, then the business, you can transition it into a trust where it will still run beyond yourself. So we'll also look at the trusts are both living and testamentary. So living trust is all the people on call here. You can set up your trust and start. You can give it it gives you an opportunity to observe or to confirm what your instructions, the instructions you put down is actually what you meant. Then testamentary trusts, they work like wills. They only come into effect after you pass on. Then the probate process is the entire process that when somebody has passed on intestate, meaning they have passed on without having an estate plan in place. Then the loved ones would apply for letters of administration until the court grants them the grant of probate. So that entire process is a probate process. So in a nutshell, that is what estate planning entails. Reasons why all families or everyone should have an estate plan is that one, it safeguards your accumulated wealth. It is equivalent to one building a house and then you don't put a door or grills. We do that to safeguard our assets in the house. So estate plan is safeguarding
also it is the same concept. So it safeguards your wealth. It enables you to strategize about your future assets so that you can plan what you want your assets to do in future, to whom should they benefit, how should they benefit, at what point, for how long, all those things, you put it down. Just the same way we have our strategic plans for our organizations. Then it fulfills your wishes. So that closely ties with what is your family wealth vision. So how do you want it to be fulfilled? The other advantage is that it minimizes losses in tax or legal fees, because when you transfer like assets to your loved ones, there's a tax implications, there's a capital gains tax. But if you transfer it to them through trust, then that you get to minimize on that. Legal fees, to avoid family conflicts comes up. Of course, legal fees will be part of the challenges that they will have to deal with. So, but a trust or an estate plan is a good way to ensure that there's minimal conflict and there'll be very minimal chances that your family will spend money legally to resolve their conflicts. And when you have a plan in place, there'll be minimal to no disputes because there is a roadmap into how everyone is supposed to engage with the other or how everyone is supposed to benefit from the assets. And I would equate that to, at a corporate level, we have policies, we have manuals, we have SOPs, and that is all established so that we can work harmoniously as members of staff, as a unit. So if that harmony is achieved at a corporate level, how much so would it be desirable that we have the same applied in our families? And it is a high time that we change the issue that we always say, may they rest in peace. We need to be intentional about ensuring that our families live in peace. So the critical questions that you need to ask yourself so that you can start yourself on that journey of estate planning is that, have you defined your success? And success is different for everyone, so that it is not something that is defined for you by every other person externally, but yourself at a personal level. What is success to you? And that will help you to define what is your vision at a personal level. So, do you have a will or trust? If it was an open class, I would ask you to raise your hand. So I don't know how many on this call have a will or a trust. And if you don't, what are the reasons that are preventing you from having one? So have you defined all your beneficiaries? Beneficiaries being your spouse, kids, and any other person that you support or any other entity that you have chosen to support. So it is important to document who they are so that you minimize conflict, because as we support many people, we support them to a certain extent. So define who they are, how should they benefit, for how long, in specifically what areas. So it is not a blanket check. Then do you have a record of all your assets? And I know you will say you have it in your head, but the reason why we document is such that should you pass on, then your loved ones are able to know exactly where to start. And especially if you die intestate, it's very problematic for people to trace all your assets. And when you look at organizations, they tag all their assets, including staplers. So if an organization can tag their assets, surely at a personal level, you do not have that much that you are not able to target. It is important to ensure that there is no loss that is occasioned because your loved ones do not know. And this, I would also look at the reason or the purpose why we have the unclaimed financial assets. It is there because of the same reason. We say it is in our heads, we know, but should you pass on and nobody knows, then it will end up in unclaimed financial assets, and who knows whether they will be able to track your loved ones. So looking at next of kin, have you updated them so that it reflects your current lifestyle? Most of the times you get employed when you're single, so your next of kin is definitely your parents or your elder siblings. But since you have now, you're maybe married, you have children, and you haven't changed that, it would be a big disaster should you unfortunately pass on and that next of kin wasn't changed. It becomes a very big tug of war between your parents and your spouses because the interpretation at that point is very different. And that was not what you intended. Then marital status, it needs to be defined. That means you have a document that proves you're married, because when you use when you claim that your marriage is contracted customarily, effective 2017, the courts said that you need to even go and register your polygamous marriages. So for the men who want to have more than one spouse, then you still have to enter that marriage in a register. So by defining your marital status, it's either you have a marriage certificate or you have registered your marriage at the Register of Marriages, whether are traditionally contracted, so that if it is registered, you may have your many wives, but you cannot have many spouses if if you have any marriage which is Christian, based on the Christian or the Register of Marriages Act. So it is important that we answer all those questions and see where we are and what can we do about making the right choices. So estate planning, for those who are Christians, it's also biblical, where in Kings, God was telling Hezekiah to put his house in order because he shall surely die. And for those who are Bible readers, he asked for for additional years, and the additional years were very miserable. In Proverbs, he says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And this inheritance is not just about the Christian values, but includes also wealth. And in Job, you can see that Job also gave an inheritance to his daughters. And I know most of our cultures, they do not, they disinherit daughters. So, but you can see if you're a Christian, Job also gave an inheritance to his daughters, yet they were beautiful women in the land. So it is not that they were not good looking, that they could not get spouses. And the essential of estate planning is that you need to have those 4 portfolios very clear in you need to have clarity of those portfolios, that your retirement your retirement benefits should be able to cater for the listed items there, that it will be able to cater for your basic needs, maintain your dignity, and remember it is replacing your income, and it's able to maintain your family upkeep. And looking at that and knowing how pension is, the replacement ratio of your income, pension will only replace about between 10 and 40%. So you need to be intentional about bridging that deficit to ensure that after you stop your active income, that pension is able to cater for those needs. Your security portfolio, especially the medical bills after you retire, how are you going to cater for your medical needs? Very important that you be intentional and plan for how to do that. So you'd best use the individual pension plan, where you target to invest an amount that 10% of it will be able, when you look at bare minimum return of 10%, will be able to pay for your medical cover. Because if you say you're going to use your pension benefits to pay for your medical bills, you'll find that it becomes a challenge. So how do you cater for your medical bills in retirement? And given that people get married late nowadays, generally, how do you cater for school fees for your kids who will still be in school, yet you have hit the age of 60? You still need an emergency fund insurance so that you're not downgrading from your comprehensive insurance to what is it called? That's third party. And have you insured your home should a fire or flood mess up your house? Are you able to get compensated by insurance, or you haven't taken it up? Then the aspirational, you need to plan for the things that make you tick. So have you timed them, costed them, so that you then work intentionally towards achieving them? And finally, doing all those three things without having an estate plan is being very reckless, because it means immediately you pass on, all your wealth follows you. And you can observe around us, most of us do not have a thing to show about what our parents and our foreparents did for money, because we all start from the same spot. When we pass on, our kids also start rock bottom. So if we plan our estate, then it will mean gradually that our families are increasing in wealth and not decreasing, that everyone starts from bottom. So reasons why we don't plan most of the time is because we are saying it is premonition, but I always say change premonition to spirit of discernment. So when we say we don't care, we say that, but I don't think we mean it, because we care about our family reputations, and we talk about those good families. So those good families, people did something intentional. So it is you to make a decision to be intentional about your family. Probate process is not the best thing that you can bequeath your family. And when you look at most families that have going through probate process, it takes so long. Ideally, on paper, it is a short process, but it is not the same thing on the ground. That your spouse will inherit everything, we know that is neither here or there. We have many examples that show contrary. That it is for the rich and wealthy. There's no standard for rich, so your family will always fight for the much or for the little that you have. So it is good to be intentional about that. That your family will do the right thing, we know that again is not is neither here nor there. So when you look at uh, examples of families that have died intestate and how long they have been in court, you can see it has taken some 34 years, some still in court since 2007, some for 50 years, you're still fighting. So is that the kind of inheritance that you want your family to inherit? So, and looking at the unclaimed financial assets as of 2021, they had a total of 241 billion. And out of that, they had only received 6,000 claims, which amounted to 1.9. So if you're to use that as a baseline, how many more families to exhaust the 241? So you can see it's not worth it when you're not intentional. And when you look at pension, as of 2022, they had 22 billion, and this is as a result of members not filling in the next of kin. So the 22 billion, UFA only managed to unify 3%, which only translates to 604 million. So it doesn't make sense that we work so hard and we say we do it for family, but then we don't have a plan. So it ends up not even benefiting the family that we have said it's going to benefit. And juxtaposing that with the families that have a plan in place, you can see those 4 families listed there, and I'm sure none of you has heard that they're fighting. And I'm sure it is not because they have better wives or better children than what we have ourselves, but it is because they have a plan in place. The same way an organization has policies, and it ensures that there is some harmony and peace in the way people relate. It is the same thing. So it's not about the grass being greener on the other side, but it is about watering your grass so that it is actually green. So that if you don't shape the family of your future, then you will just have to endure each other, and that is not a situation that we want. And when you look at the Bible in Ecclesiastes 10:19, where it says, I think it says wine make people happy in parties, but money answers all things. So if the Bible acknowledges that money answers all things, why can't we be intentional about how we manage our money so that it actually answers all our issues and questions? Looking at how intentional one needs to be and comparing those two gentlemen, you can see the different dynamics between the two families, that they are that specific. You name your children, you have said distribution should be equal, and that will address the issue of our customs, addressing that you're a woman, you're married, you do not inherit, and it will block the relatives who come and say, in our tradition, it is this, or it is men, or all those things will be blocked. That personal effects, you have even specified what you need to do with they need to be done with your personal effects. That wealth needs to flow along bloodline. Very specific. For somebody to say that, they have a reason why. Children's education will be invested in, but for grandchildren may, which means depending on circumstances, the trustees may or may not. Looking at these other gentlemen on the right, he said that son and daughter to jointly manage, they have the liberty. So, and that will show you the different dynamics between the two families. His personal belongings, he wants them banned for whatever reason. Maybe it is tradition, maybe it is culture that he doesn't want applied. And he has said that a wife to get 50%, the two kids to get 25 each of all emoluments. And then for the daughter, he has said, this is how you transition um, items that you have sentimental attachment to. I said, daughter to get a grandmother's Bible. So you can see you're very intentional that even a Bible, you are actually saying who should get your Bible. So that should show us that estate planning is not for the rich, it is for everyone. And you give out instructions on how you want items that belong to you, how you want them distributed. So essentially, probate process looks that short, but as I've said, ideally that is on paper, but it is not that easy because we have seen some families, 50 years, they are still grappling with estate planning. This is in the Law of Succession Act, and should you die intestate, this is what the court will use to distribute your estate. And looking at that list, this should help you to understand why, when people of means die, many people come up to claim that they are dependent. So provided you can provide evidence to show that you are dependent, then the court will allow you, and you can see anyone can be anyone's relative. So that is why it is important for you to plan your estate so that you prevent people who you did not intend to benefit from your assets. So estate planning essentially is preserving, managing, and distributing what you own in a manner that you actually desire. The components that need to be there is that you need to define the assets. So which are these assets? So it doesn't mean that because you're estate planning, everything you own must go into an estate plan. You choose which assets do I want to transition through an estate plan. Where are they? So can you I call it pin your assets. So give you a proper description that the beneficiaries will not be confused as to where they are, whether it is vehicles, which circle, which route they apply, who is the administrator, what is the contact of the administrator, so that it is very easy for your loved ones to trace those assets. So what purpose? So these particular assets that I've chosen to transition through the estate plan, what is the purpose? So what's vision, or how does it align to my vision? So what is my why of having an estate plan? So you need to answer your why and how you want it done. Then finally, beneficiaries, who are they? And I said this includes your spouse and relatives, and any other entity that you have chosen that you want to support with your estate. That shows anything can go into an estate plan so that you don't to allege this incorrect understanding that we have that an estate plan is for the rich. So I'm sure people seated on this call, you have most of those things. I'm sure you have 3/4 of those things listed there. So it means anyone who has anything, who owns anything, can have an estate plan. And by having an estate plan, it doesn't mean it's cast on stone. So it can be adjusted at any point and any time. The only time it becomes permanent is after you pass on. But for as long as you're alive, as things change in your life, as you acquire and sell assets, as you lose or have more beneficiaries, you can change it as often as those changes happen. So we have two instruments of estate planning, wills and trusts, and we'll just compare them briefly. That a will is, it comes into effect after one dies, and the contents of it remain private until you pass on. But that, however, doesn't mean that you don't communicate what your vision is to your family, such that by the time the will is being read, it confirms what they already know, so that you do not use a will as a surprise document. When you do it like that, it will backfire on you. So still, when you have a will, probate is still required. It's a different type of probate where it needs to be confirmed before it is read to your beneficiaries. And at the reading of the will, all the beneficiaries that have been listed in that will must be present. But on the other hand, when you look at the trust, it's an agreement where you as a settler is giving your assets to the trustee to hold on behalf of your beneficiaries. So the trustees are not benefiting from that trust, but they're only holding it under fiduciary responsibility to ensure that the beneficiaries have benefited. So the trustees will have their fees paid, but they are not beneficiaries of the trust. So it means you're having control of that estate because you are giving the terms and conditions of how beneficiaries will benefit from that. And when you give the terms and conditions, then it means you're maintaining your people at the level at which you know, or you have given the terms and conditions that you're applying now, so that even beyond yourself, status quo remains. So as opposed to a will, trust does not have probate process. So it means it's a very ideal tool to use to manage our different dynamics of life, where people have families that are known and not known. Some have children that are known and not known. So all of them will be maintained without disrupting the peace. And that is also enhanced by the fact that there's no requirement for beneficiaries to be present, so that your instructions as given will be applied as given without too much drama. So that becomes a preferred tool. So the things that will not also transition through a will include a life insurance, properties held in joint tenancy such that the one person passes on, then the other automatically becomes the owner. Retirement plan. So essentially, all the assets where you're required to nominate a next of kin does not transition through a will, because there are specific acts that provide for how you nominate. So even if you went to court that you don't like that your spouse nominated their parent as a next of kin, unless you're able to prove fraud or coercion or insanity, the court will not even listen. So it is not something that you can go and contest in court, that you think, I am the spouse, so I should be the legitimate next of kin because I have children with this guy. That will not help you. So as you look at those assets, you need to ask yourself if it represents your current lifestyle. Sometimes you had your spouse, you have since separated, you are divorced, but you haven't updated, or your spouse has passed on, you haven't updated. So just ensure that you update it to reflect your current lifestyle. Sometimes we make a lot of noise that estates plan don't work, but they don't work because we are not intentional, we haven't communicated. When you look at the reasons there, it is 93% is because you as a settler, you have not communicated what your vision is. And that will then make your beneficiaries, if they are clowns, even if they come into a palace, it doesn't change. They will still be clown. It will just be a circus. And I am sure we do not want to make a circus of our families. So we need to do things right. And when you look at even what RBA, and this is not the first study that they did, 18 months after somebody has passed on. I mean, you've gotten an inheritance, you are not prepared to handle it. It only takes 18 months for it to be blown away. And that is why in Habakkuk, and I said the Bible is a very good estate planning tool, it says write your vision. So if the Bible says write, why don't we write? We've gone to school to learn how to read and write. Can we write? We have done policies for organizations. We have done manuals for our organizations. Why have we skipped our family and done to a corporate level? So it makes us hypocrites of some sort. So can we be very intentional at a family level such that if we have a plan at a family level, it's easier for us then to have a working one at a corporate level. So looking at the second tool, trust, where I said it's where the trustees have a fiduciary duty to manage the estate, the assets of the grantor on behalf of the beneficiaries. So that is actually the arrangement of a trust. The structure looks like that, where you have the settler who is you, and it can be a corporate where if your corporate wants to add value to their staff, they would have then a corporate trust, or they join a corporate trust where they say should the staff pass on and they have children who are still going to school, minors, then their benefits can be managed to manage their minors. But it is better if you do it at an individual level where you set up your terms and conditions. Trustees are the managers, so they administer that trust. Beneficiaries, you need to define who they are, and it could include all those listed. And then the other day that the court included an enforcer, where this is a person who is a liaison between the trustees and the beneficiaries to have a seamless management of the trust. Contents of a grant letter. This is the contract that you would have with the trustees. It has definitions. It provides for who a guardian is in case you have children below 18. And just because it's a maker-checker mechanism, so you'd have your nominated guardian, an alternate in the event the nominated one, the first nomination is not available or passes on. You have an alternate, and you also have a mechanism to get to change if your beneficiaries, your children don't like the guardian that you had in place, they can change. And even if the guardian and the alternate pass on, then you have a mechanism to get another one. So you will give the terms and conditions. So enforcer, I've said, is a liaison between the trustees and the beneficiary. So this is a person who understands your vision and will ensure that the trustees actually carry out their role as envisaged in that document. So beneficiaries will give all their details so that it also helps the trustees to manage them, because the relationship matter on how they relate to you as a testator. Then the purpose why you're having this trust, the fees is negotiated upfront and documented, so there's no chance of fees being escalated without proper justification. And also that is the role of the enforcer, to ensure that the terms and conditions of the trust are applied. Then that winding up is also you who determine how long you want this trust to be in existence, or where you want it in perpetuity. So you determine how long you want this trust to run. Whether you want considerations for natural corporate trustee, we saw the other day the issue about John Keane. where he had very good individual trustees, but then with individuals, our lives changed. One of the lawyers that he appointed got appointed as a judge, so recused himself. And as natural human beings, when I see if I was working with Paul and Paul has removed himself from the equation, I tend to think I also need to jump off this ship. So then his estate plan is in chaos because the people you entrusted are no longer taking it, so becomes very problematic. So any day a corporate trustee is better because companies exist longer than human beings. And most of those companies that we work for, we are not the founders. We found them there, they're still growing. So it's better to have a corporate trustee because that hardly has the dynamic changes the way a natural person would have. Funding of a trust would be by any of those.
Happy. I think
Yes,
we are.
time is
We
up.
should. Yes,
Okay.
very much.
Uh,
Yeah.
So I'm wondering with this slide. So funding can be funded by any of those means, and looking at the insurance would be the best way, life insurance. And that is how John Rockefeller when you look at the Rockefeller family, that is how they have funded their trust, and a family becomes wealthy, not because necessarily you have worked for that money, but using the leverage of life insurance to fund it, so that you have instructions of should your beneficiaries reach the age of maybe 18 or 25, the trust takes out a life policy for them and it pays, and when they pass on, it's paid into the trust. So generations after you will never have to start from scratch. 1887. So advantages, it provides for charity. Nobel is one such. It safeguards the interest of minors. It's unbiased because its instructions that are given. Funds are invested by a qualified fund manager, so it ensures some growth of sort, and you can provide for future. So finally, you need to decide whether you define what you want in the end, so that it determines how you're going to get there now. So if you die intestate, you're going to occasion your family those unfortunate things, and it's going to have losses of money, time, energies, emotions. So you need a will or a trust to actually sort yourself. So give your voice, your assets a name. The only two guarantees, taxes and death. So whatever we do will surely die. So let us be intentional about how we leave our loved one behind. Have a list of all your assets. Know how your property titles are held, and review your plan every 3 to 5 years. So with that, I'm sure I have given an overview that would necessitate you to question your life and make the necessary steps. Asante. Paul, back
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Now you can turn back your video. Thank you very much for that. And I think we will move into brief moment of questions, and we will read them in the chat. Eric, I think we will prefer the ones in the chat because of time. Just to mention that Per Monday has a WhatsApp group which you can join. I've put a link there, and also these sessions are also uploaded on YouTube afterwards, and you can share, you can review. So it started from Melvin. I believe some of these things have been answered. So you just give brief answers. Please discuss the difference, if any, in getting funds from a deceased relative locked at the unclaimed assets. UFAA, yes. Uh, are there difficulties? Somebody is dead, and now we know that there could be something that was left there. What would you say about that?
If you go to their offices, I'm sure they will guide you. They will ask for proof of one, identification, then what else? Supporting documents that will confirm that those assets actually existed. So you see, if it is let's say it was your grandfather, what are the chances that you have documents that you'd prove that those assets actually belong to him and that you're related? And that is why we are saying, starting from yourself, be intentional and document. And when I say document, I know people sometimes say that if I do that, then my people will hasten my journey to heaven. But
Mhm.
depending on our circumstances, so list your documents, have them in your desk, but communicate, let someone know that you die, then go, whether it is in your office, whether you'll keep it in custody in the bank, whether you will. People are different, so do that which works for you. But the thing is, have that list somewhere.
Okay, okay. Is it true that land parcels, shares, and bank accounts can be included in the trust fund held by an insurance company? I believe you answered that in the slides. What
Yeah.
can be included and what can't be included. There was a question again on the difference between will and trust and what is a better option. I know you've explained the difference, and the better option now depends on, I think, an individual. Yeah, I don't know what you'd
Yeah,
say.
I would, my opinion is wills are very good for things you want to give out. So items you want to gift people, a will is best suited for that. But a trust is more where you want a continuous management. Like let's say you have money, I'm sure you don't want to gift all your let's say your life policy benefit or your pension to someone, to an individual, whether your spouse, your parent, whoever, to an individual, because one, it changes people, money changes people. It brings in and attract unwanted attention. So for things like that, you would a trust is preferable because you're giving the terms and conditions, who, when, how, so
Mm.
that then it is administered exactly like that, as opposed to giving someone and then they have their own plans as well. So Happy decides, I'll use this money
Can
to
you
do my
have both?
business. Yes, you can have
Can you
both.
have both?
It's
Okay,
not it's
good,
not a case
good.
of either or. So you can have
Oh,
both.
good,
Yes, so you
good.
can have a
Now,
will and you can have a
mm,
trust. Yes.
there is also, I was asking, I've never had women, in these big cases, women writing a will, this was her will, whatever. Do they exist? I only
Yes,
hear big,
yes,
eh?
they do. They
They are
do.
never.
It's there. It's just
All right.
that the reason why you're hearing men is because men tend to have more wives, so there'll be conflict. And when women, widows are fighting over the assets, then you get to know of a man's will. But it doesn't mean that women don't write wills. It's on the when you look it on the other side, it's highly
Uh,
unlikely that a woman's will be contested.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, then, Dr. Melvin is asking again, how do children born out of wedlock and who are known prior to the death of an individual complicate the probate process?
One,
That's a,
I said you cannot use a will as a punishment document, and children have express rights. So, children within the marriage or without the marriage, it doesn't matter, they have equal rights. And if you don't provide for them, that is how then it becomes complicated because they have equal rights with the children who are born in the marriage.
thank you very much. I'd like us to post there so that we close it by 8:15 if possible. Then you can, there are a few other questions which I think are important. So if you will indulge us maybe another 5 minutes after 8:15. At this moment, I'd like to invite Maurice to pass a vote of thanks, and then we can move to close. Maurice, I hope you're able to.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Happy, for sharing this in a very, very articulate manner. Every slide was loaded with valuable information. I was struggling to write everything. Okay, I know that I'll be able to access the the recording, but there are some things which you are sharing which you just had to take notes. And what I liked about your presentation is that you not only moved from the legal perspective, but you also brought in other supporting evidence from even the Bible. And there are some which really struck me. For example, the one you talk about Ezra giving inheritance to the daughters, and not just because the daughters are not beautiful, but they are beautiful. They could easily be married somewhere else, and yet Ezra allocated something for them. The other one, which also really struck me, is Habakkuk 2:2, where you say that write your vision. And it really challenged me personally because we keep on writing visions for organizations, for every other person and other people, but we don't have visions for ourselves. And the other facts that you shared, which are really startling because numbers don't lie. When you say that we have 241 billion in the Unclaimed Assets Authority, and only about 2 billion has been claimed, it's really, these numbers are scary because it just shows that almost maybe every Kenyan has some money there, but they don't know, or they don't even know how to access it. And even out of the 22 billion from pension, you mentioned that only 3% has been unified with the beneficiaries. So these numbers are big. In fact, I was just thinking loudly or quietly in my head that how can we increase awareness about like what you have given out today. I'm just thinking of how do we even create more time, because we've just done it for 1 hour and there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of areas which still require elaboration. It might even require several hours to cover and to have people to take practical action on the next moves. So really, thank you so much, Happi. And I'm happy to let people in the room know that we work with Happi at CPF. And this is just one of the things CPF does. So it is good to use this platform also to share that and to encourage people to visit the website to see more of the things we do. And thank you so much, Power Monday, for bringing this and providing this platform for members to really see the value of different professionals. Since we began this year, we've had very, very good professionals. Those people are joining us for the first time today. The very, very first talk we had this year was on personal branding, and we had a top-notch speaker, and we've continued to have top-notch speakers every Monday. So thank you so much, Power Monday team, led by Otino Paul Peter, and the rest of the members, Lady Noel, Odiambo Lale, Melvin, as well as Dr. Lucita, who gave us the poem in the beginning, not forgetting Antonia, and all the people who participated in this particular webinar, because even if we had great speakers, we had great organization, and there are no participants, it will be void. So you are sacrificing your time to be here this morning, cannot go unrecognized. So thank you very much, everyone, and may God bless you. So as we go to the session after 8:15, those who are leaving, thank you so much. Those who are remaining, be there, and let us journey together. Thank you very much again, and may God bless you.
Great. Thank you very much, Maurice, for those kind words. Thank you. And just to mention that Power Monday is sponsored by, is hosted by Live Your Dream, that helps you to start, grow, and scale up your business. And always sponsored by ICT Gurus, that helps you to put your businesses online. And at this moment, Antonia, are you able to give a brief announcement and then we close?
Good morning. Good morning, Power Monday.
Good morning. Where are you?